Alright guys, it's race week. The 2025 Monaco Grand Prix is on this weekend, and ahead of this year's race I am going to look at the drivers who have won the most times around the streets of Monaco. Monaco of course forms one of the points of the Triple Crown alongside the Indianapolis 500 mile race and the 24 Hours of Le Mans. It is one of the most prestigious races to win, not only in Formula 1 but also in motorsport. It's one of the most iconic sporting events, full stop, in my opinion. Is without a doubt up there. But which drivers have won the most around this track? Well, there's a lot to choose from. This event goes back almost 100 years to 1929 when William Grove Williams, yes, that was his actual name, won the first ever Monaco Grand Prix. Since then, we've seen many heroes of Monaco and many drivers who have won multiple times. Here are all the drivers that have won at least 3 times around Monaco over the decade. And the first driver is the only driver in this list who is currently still racing in Formula 1. It's of course Sir Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton is still the most recent winner for McLaren around Monaco, having won here in 2008. He also won here in 2016 and 2019 for Mercedes. 2019 was an emotional one, of course, because it was shortly after the death of Niki Lauda, a certified legend of Formula 1 and someone who of course won back-to-back here in 1975 and 1976 driving for Ferrari. Compared to some other tracks on the calendar, Monaco is actually one of Hamilton's worst circuits, but I wouldn't describe anything as a bad track for him given the fact he's won here 3 times. He did get lucky here in 2016 with of course that pit stop for Ricciardo that went horribly wrong, and in 2015 he was rather unlucky not to win because he stopped and both Nico Rosberg and Sebastian Vettel stayed out. Speaking of Nico Rosberg though, he's another 3-time winner around this track, winning his 3 Grand Prix in back-to-back years, winning here in 2013, 14 and 15 for Mercedes. 2013 he was just the fastest guy in qualifying, put it on pole and started from pole and won the race. 2014 though was a bit more controversial. He allegedly ran down the escape rope at Mirabeau on purpose, bringing out the yellow flags and preventing his teammate Lewis Hamilton from setting the fastest lap, and he later went on to win the race. This was one of the first flashpoints between these two drivers as they turned from the best of friends into the worst of enemies at AMG Mercedes. 2015, like I said, he kind of looked into that thanks to Hamilton's pit stop, but of course Hamilton did not have to make that pit stop. That was kind of on him, and on the team as well. They kind of miscalculated this, feeling all kinds of conspiracy theories, but hey, Hamilton went on to win the championship anyway that year. But let's talk about some more British drivers. A bit of British bias coming in here? No chance about that. But let's talk, because the drivers from the UK have done very well over here over the years, and 2 of these that definitely are applied to that are 2 racing knights, Sir Stirling Moss and Sir Jackie Stewart. Jackie Stewart won here 3 times in the 1960s and 70s, winning here in 66, 71 and 73. He later went on to win the World Championship in 1971 and 73. Sir Stirling Moss became the first driver to ever win at Monaco on 3 occasions, winning in 1956, 1960 and 1961. Moss, of course, for me, without a doubt, being the best driver to never win the World Championship in Formula 1. He was absolutely incredible, and Monaco was his playground really when it came to that. But let's get on to the only 4-time winner of the Monaco Grand Prix, that being the only French world champion. It's of course Alain Prost. Prost was incredible around Monaco, just like someone else who we will get onto as well very soon, his McLaren teammate during some of these races. He did win here many times, and of course all for McLaren, interestingly. Of course won a lot of races for the likes of Renault, Ferrari, Williams, but he never won for any of them round here. All of his wins were for McLaren. He did so in 1984 in controversial circumstances during absolutely torrential rain conditions where the race was stopped early and half points were awarded. Arguably that actually cost him the championship. Had he finished even second place on full points, he would have got more points than what he did for finishing in first with half points. And of course he missed out on the championship to Niki Lauda by just half a point that season. He backed it up though with wins in 1985, 1986 and 1988 after a certain somebody crashed out of the race when he was absolutely miles in the lead. We will talk about him very shortly though. But the 5-time winners, there are 2 5-time winners of the Monaco Grand Prix, and the more recent to achieve that feat was the great Michael Schumacher. Schumacher won here for Benetton in back-to-back years in 1994 and 1995 on his way to his first 2 2 championships in Formula 1. He also won here for Ferrari in 97, 1999 and in 2001. Of course, Schumacher does have some controversial history as well with Monaco. He stopped by the Rascasse and deliberately brought out the yellow flags in order to try and claim pole position in, I believe it was 2006 off the top of my head. He crashed out from the lead with Juan Pablo Montoya. I say that, I mean he was hit by Juan Pablo Montoya under the safety car in 2004 as well. 1996 he could have won. I think he started on pole that year, but unfortunately for him he crashed out on the first lap in a race that only 3 cars managed to take the checkered flag, incredibly. Schumacher, like a lot of tracks, was very good around here, but he was probably not quite as good as Mr. Monaco himself. Graham Hill won here on 5 occasions in the 1960s to claim that title. What a driver he was round here. Tragically, his son, Damon Hill, did not manage to win ever around Monaco, rather famously, but his dad was an absolute beast around here, winning back-to-back on 3 occasions between 1963 and 1965. He also won here in 1968 and also 1969. Nice. Incredible was Graham Hill around Monaco, and he held the record for the most victories around the Principality for a very long time, until a certain Ayrton Senna rocked up on the scene. Senna was a qualifying master in Formula 1, holding 65 pole positions, and that served him very well around Monaco, where qualifying is so important. He managed to win here in 1987 for Lotus, and also won another 5 times for McLaren between 1989 and 1993. 5 times in a row. And it could have easily been 7 times in a row had he not crashed out from the lead in 1988. He was miles clear. He produced one of the greatest qualifying laps of all time during that race weekend. 1.5 seconds, not faster than most of the competition, faster than his teammate Alain Prost around a short circuit in Formula 1. Senna was a master of Monaco. He could have also won here on his first appearance back in 1984 had the race not been red flagged, although looking back on it now, I get why it was red flagged. They would never even attempt to race during those conditions in the modern era, so honestly I've kind of mellowed in my opinion of that. I used to think it was a bit of a beleaguered conspiracy. Maybe that could be a video. You guys love conspiracy videos. Maybe I'll do one on 1984 actually instead of 1982. That sounds like a poll on YouTube. I'm going to do that. I've just thought of that on the fly here. But yeah, Senna, the master of Monaco. Hamilton, the closest driver on the current grid to catching him with 3 victories. Fernando Alonso and Max Verstappen also have 2 victories to their name as well. Alonso is not going to add to that anytime soon. Verstappen, though, he could join the 3-time winners if he manages to win this weekend in Monaco. But who is your pick for the Monaco Grand Prix this weekend? Who is taking the checkered flag? Who is having dinner with the Prince of the Principality? Yes, the winner does actually get to have a meal with the Monarch of Monaco. So, your thoughts in the comments below, guys. Like, share, comment, subscribe as always, and we'll see you very soon for much more content in the lead up to the 2025 Monaco Grand Prix just like this. Have a fantastic day wherever you are in the world today, guys, and we'll see you very soon.